Let's talk about it. You know, after last year's video, I had the intention of just giving up. Why bother continuing this yearly struggle of trying to direct attention to myself in an attempt to raise awareness of a social networking website whose brand has unfortunately turned into a laughingstock and whose name alone is used as a metaphor for going in the direction of a downward spiral. Having to live a life where every other day an inflamed fire being lit under me with what feels like never-ending jabs that this website has to contend with. One criticism after another, one unfair comparison after another, one selfish remark after another, the smug look in people's faces when even the thought of its place in our modern-day civilization in the year 2018 is brought up. From the same people that stand against cyberbullying and discrimination, the same people that claim to put facts over opinions and preferred interests. The powers that be and the influential weight that they have over me almost became too much for me to handle. And I felt like I had no choice but to throw in the towel with these videos that just didn't appeal to any audience in any corner of the world. But earlier this summer, I was contacted by a reporter of the Guardian website named ᴹୖon, of all websites, MySpace. And just like that, the first person in 7 straight years to develop enough of an interest to profile my consistent activity on MySpace inadvertently gave me a reason to keep on openly expressing myself as a 7-day-a-week, 12 months a year active MySpace user. I want to continue pushing these boundaries that our culture has placed over me in order to increase the number of daily active users on a website that I'm not supposed to like. I have a newfound desire to confront and debate with any and all of the anti-MySpace/social media pundits until there is absolutely no practical reason for me to do so. Or my name isn't Mr. ᴹŒᴜ, an unashamed 11-year veteran of MySpace.com, a social media website that has never given up on me, and one that I'll go down swinging to defend its very namesake every chance I get. In response to Ross, I think of these videos as visual essays. I give my in-depth opinion on a topic concerning my favorite website with the hopes that the people watching will take something away from it. You can view it as incredibly boring or whatever emotion you choose to express. But the fact of the matter is this: I have a unique message that 99% of people on the internet would say is too taboo for someone trying to make a name for themselves, or that I'm committing social suicide by making myself as vulnerable as I have been. Here's another fact: I don't care. Because at this moment in time, I feel as if I have nothing to lose. This is the 7th year where I've put myself in the line of fire by revealing to the world that for as long as I live and for as long as MySpace still operates, I will continue to find purpose in making that my dedicated home base for social media postings. While other social media websites have the data of tens of millions of users compromised, go through mobile app interface redesigns that cause a near universal backlash, give the President of the United States the free will to harass and exasperate the majority of the citizens that he's the leader of but doesn't agree with him, and so on and so on. My activity on MySpace isn't fueled by a willingness to escape from the rest of society, but rather because I believe that it's proven itself to be the barometer of a brand that stands the test of time with all the crap that it gets from cocky, ignorant people that believe their networking websites they've devoted themselves to are worth their time, even though they too have their own flaws. What makes MySpace's flaws that much worse than the rest of what social media has to offer that you have to look at it the way you do? Please give me a reason. If being a MySpace fanboy is wrong, then I don't want to be right. But I'll tell you what's awful. What's awful are these photos of you, Chris, with your child in one hand and an alcoholic beverage in the other. How dare you portray yourself as having a moral high ground for shaming us MySpace users when you're basically promoting beer to a toddler and irresponsibly publishing it to the world. There's a time and a place for you to have your consumption of alcohol, and it's not while a child is in your grasp. This child clearly doesn't understand the hazard of the situation that it has been placed in, but you and the person behind the camera do. And when this child becomes an adult, I hope that he has a more positive view on popular online platforms such as the one you clearly stereotyped with that fanboy comment. I also hope that he makes better decisions in both life and social media postings than you. Hi Steve, I actually sleep on that mattress behind me. And as far as I know, it has never hosted a dead body. And if you want to bring up AOL, well look. Even though I'm not the biggest advocate for America Online, I can safely assume that as a company, it has most likely earned more revenue in the past 3 years than your idea factory will ever make in a lifetime. I'm sure that your hopes and your dreams of being the CEO of a company that no one but yourself actually has that much of a devoted interest in desires to have the same global impact that MySpace has 15 years after its inception. So that in the year 2033, the name brand that represents your company can have enough prestige to be shamed on by a guy who clearly received a misdiagnosis from Dr. Facebook. I hope the concept of universal health care, if it were to happen, financially covers the therapy that you so desperately deserve in order to turn that self-righteous attitude around. Because I would think that someone who is so interested in investing in the future would realize that MySpace has the brand awareness that, well, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna let you finish my sentence. If you did your research, you would know that MySpace has been extending its brand thanks to multi-millionaire investors for 15 years without fail, and it's got people like me to point that out to people like you. How's that for affliction? It's Thomas from all the way across the pond in jolly old England. That quote that you found humorous actually came from me. When I gave that quote for that interview, I said it with the utmost confidence. I wanted to be as precise and specific as I possibly could be when I stated that, to give the reader, in this case you, a feeling of optimism that someone would be so articulate when clarifying their reasoning for promoting the MySpace brand in a way that didn't seem too idealistic or didn't come off as wishful thinking. The fact that your response to that quote is of being funny completely misses the point, and I take offense to that. What's really funny about you, Thomas, besides having to live with the last name Mulrooney, is the fact that you aren't shy to acknowledge your own lack of intelligence while being active on what social media platform? Oh, that's right, Facebook. Which you also ended up regretting, but I highly doubt that, because Facebook will continue to be your go-to place for dim-witted debates instead of a real one discussing the subject of the misinformed frame of reference you have of MySpace compared to your subconscious adherence to Facebook. That's a debate that yours truly would be open to having. And now we go from England to Berlin, Germany, by way of Scotland, where a self-described social media manager shows a lack of empathy for current-day MySpace users by referring to us as sad and the website as being nostalgic. She implies that our usage of MySpace is solely triggered by a sense of belonging and not because we unapologetically have no issue with intentionally making our presence felt on the website itself. Well, Miss Social Media Manager, I am glad that I do not work for you, because I'd be better off taking no part in sharing your biased views and being forced to lock myself in the solitary confinement of only Instagram and Twitter. And based off of this tweet, apparently you don't want to either. So, you feel bogged down with where you're at compared to others, but you're still quick to judge MySpace users for supposedly needing a sense of belonging? How about you choose your words carefully next time, because they may just apply back at you. So, in conclusion, to put it in its most simplest terms, it is 2018 and I frequently remain active on MySpace because I want to. I want to be active on MySpace. There's no ulterior motive. I didn't lose a bet. I'm not being paid to say this, nor am I an undercover employee of MySpace LLC. I'm simply just one person who wants to enjoy a normal, everyday social networking / social media experience on MySpace without it having a preconceived opinion against it. I don't know how some people can look themselves in the mirror, tuck their kids to sleep at night, or live with the false belief that they are a good, caring person when they're really just a victim of blind prejudice. What more can I add to the tens of thousands of words I've said across 7 years worth of videos, spanning exactly 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 35 seconds? Well, I'll be ready to continually respond to the narrow-minded memes aimed at MySpace, which is enough fuel for me to fire back, no matter who you are.